We had another bull in school. He just started there, and all the girls took up with him. Yeah, that made us old country boys mad. Boy, I mean, we got mad. And we was in 5th grade then. And a buddy of mine, same age I was, Joe Lee, he was mean as a rattlesnake ever been. His daddy bootlegged. I worked for him a while. Anyway, we got in a fight, and me and that old boy, and I kind of beat my eyeball out. My right one, yeah, he hit me so hard, and so many times, before I could bat my eye good, he done knocked my eye out. And come find he's a professional boxer. And yeah, but first thing, I slung a root at him. If I'd have hit him with that root, I'd have killed him again, because I knocked a big dent inside the bus. And he run me down, caught me, pumped me, boy. He laid it on me. Boy, I looked like a mule had kicked me. Next morning, my brother gave me a switchblade knife, told me to go up there and cut him. I said, I took the knife with me, but telling Joe, my buddy, about him and Joe done been fighting. They fought every time they got around one another. And he done whooped old Joe a time or two. Joe told me that we had steps on the back, about 10, 11 steps, big cement steps up the back of the school door where the bell used to hang, and somebody had broke the bell off, and they had it laying up on top of that cement slab up there, and they had a big old pea they'd peck on that bell, you know, when you change class or recess was over and stuff like that. And he told me, said, you get him right down on these steps and start a fight with him. Said, I'll take care of him. I said, you crazy? You want me to get my head killed? You want me to get my head beat off again? He said, no, he won't ever hit you. And you know, I was crazy enough to believe him. I got that fella down there now. I told him, I said, now you whooped me one time, you want to do it again. And before I got that out of my mouth good, that boy jumped off top of them steps, that old big piece of iron, they called it the P in that bell, hit that fella right on top of the head, and he fell at my feet, busted his head wide open. They took the principal of them, got him in the car and took him to Pale City to the hospital. I don't know whatever happened to him. Never did see him no more. Now, I don't know whether he died or what. Anyway, we put quays on him. Or Joe did. But I had sense enough to believe in him that he'd take care of it. It's a good thing he had, because that fellow was getting ready to whoop me good one, buddy. Again. We used to go to school on an old bus that didn't have no windows in it. It had wooden sides on it, and it had old curtains on it. They had 3 benches in it, one on each side and one in the middle. It was cold, didn't have no heat in that thing. Boy, all us old country boys, first one to get on there would fight for that middle seat, and they'd straddle and just slide up against one another. Girls and boys all keep warm. Shoot, man, that thing was cold. That old wooden bus, I could just see that thing there. Old wooden sides on it. We had milk cows before we go to school every morning. We get on there with the cow manure and everything on our feet too. Go in the schoolroom, that stuff on us stinking. Whoo! It get wet, it smell good. I'd take biscuit and sugar or syrup and biscuits, you know, to school. And we had a couple of pretty rich boys around there. They'd bring banana sandwiches. And they'd swap me in a banana sandwich for them biscuit and syrup, or biscuit and butter and sugar. Because their mom and them wouldn't fix them. They fixed loaf bread and banana sandwich. And boy, I was eating high on the hog, eating a banana sandwich. Man, I never did get nothing like that. I loved them banana sandwiches. Every day, the boy said, what you got in your lunch? I'd tell him, he said, you don't swap? I said, yeah, I swap. I knew he'd have something good. A banana sandwich. He loved them biscuits and syrup. That sugar and butter and stuff like that, and they were good. Yeah. You know, back then, they made their own biscuits. Big biscuits. They wasn't that little old biscuits. Big biscuit. Homemade biscuit was good. We'd have that biscuit. And on Sunday, we'd get out, walk out and kill a chicken, clean him, cook, have chicken and gravy and biscuits for breakfast. Boy, it was good. Don't have that kind of eating now. My daddy bought an old T model touring car, 2-seated, didn't have a top on it. I don't know where he got that thing, but my brother was, let's see, he was 2, 4, 6, he was 8 years older than me. Well, my daddy parked that thing in the lot, and my sister had 3 kids, then me and my little sister. My brother got all of us in that old crazy thing. He turned the switch on with a piece of hay baling wire or something. He cranked that thing. He never drove a car before in his life. He got us all in that boy, and he took off up that dirt road, and we was all there hollering, cutting up in that thing. We was having a ball. He went over that hill and down, and he turned that thing around and down there in the field and come back over the hill down the ditch. Then he plowed that ditch all in top of that hill back to the bottom. Couldn't drive that thing. One of them killed everyone. One of them threw that. He got that thing back to the house. So coming down that ditch, he plowed it out, boy. I'm telling you. I remember that. That's where we was having. We thought we was doing something big, riding in that thing. Come find out he ain't never drove a car. Didn't know nothing about driving a car. We didn't know it. You know, we was kids.
Which brother was this?
George Henry.
Oh.
You know, George. Yeah. He crazy. He never could drive a car after he got grown. He lived back up behind us up there, him and his wife, and they had a couple of kids in. And he had an old Ford, old 60 model Ford, I think, no, 60, 3660, what they call it, 36 Ford, year 36, but the motor was a 60, they call them 3660, and 60 horsepower, I thought it was. And he coming down, and the old dirt road was way over the hill, back up in the woods, back over there, and the house where he lived. But he cleaned them ditches out. He come down that road, never did come down in the road, he come down the ditch. When he go in, he go up the ditch. Plowed them ditches out up and down there. He couldn't drive. After we got grown, he was working Mr. John over there, was selling apples for him, and Mr. John told him to get that truck and back it around, and he backed it in the well. Yeah, knocked the whole curve off the well down there. Mr. John said, whoa, I told him, he can't drive that truck, you better get him out of it. We were grown, I'd done been in the Army back then. Mean. He was rough. He'd get drunk and run us off from home. But he good. He kept us he kept us food, you know. He worked. He's a sharecropper. He worked, but he loved that white liquor. He drank that stuff, man, like it water.
Do you have any particular memories of him other than the
best that I have remember of 2 of them. He took me peddling with him in Pale City one time in a buggy, and he peddled. He'd take fresh vegetables out of the garden, take them up and sell them. And he had an old mule he'd put on that. He just turned her loose, and he'd walk alongside, on the sidewalk there, and cluck that old mule. She'd just walk on up. And me sitting in there, and me just a little young boy. And that mule used the bathroom on the street. And I thought, oh, Lord, they're going to kill her. But that was just something normal, you know, back then. I'd never been to town. That's the first time I'd ever been to town. Well, then went on, pedaled that out, and then I rode back home in the back of the buggy, sitting back in that little old box in the back of the buggy. Then the next time I really remember is we was gonna get a bale of cotton out. Well, he always wanted to be the first into the gin every morning. Well, we didn't have quite a bale out that night, and so the moon was shining. He made us pick cotton to 11 o'clock. Got the bale out, and he promised me he'd let me go to gin with him. So he told me, he said, all right, son, come on, get on the wagon, we're going to gin. I got up there and dug me out a hole in that cotton, got down in it, laid down in it, rode good in that wagon, going to gin, and I went to sleep. Well, what woke me up when they turned that gin on, he was under that thing. Made a heck of a racket when they turned that thing on. Well, he got all that cotton off, and I was down in the bed with him. He'd run that big old suction thing toward my feet, you know, scared me with it. Had a lot of air to it. Might have sucked me up in it if he got a hold of me right, because it'd suck that cotton up in that boy. But anyway, I remember that real well. And one more thing I remembered about him. My brother, we had a big old grinding rock that you sharpen the axes and things on. And he was sitting on the tree out there on a rack. My brother threw the rock and broke it. He told my daddy I'd done it, and my daddy whooped the far out of me. Me telling him all the time I didn't do it. So I remember that well. I never did forget that. That's about the most thing I remember, other than him being drunk, sitting there in that chair with that shotgun. He'd always get a shotgun, sit down in a chair, and run us away from home. Me and my little sister go down behind the barn, lay down in the ditch, and wait till we know he's done about passed out before we go to the house and go to bed. We were all scared of him. Me and my older brother was scared of him.
Why would he get the shotgun out?
Run us away from home. I don't know what he did it for. I don't know whether he shot or not. We wasn't taking no chances. You don't know what a drunk fellow do. Boy, he could get drunk. We made a lot of syrup. And me and my brother slept in a little side room back there, and it had no shutter on it. We never would close it, sit there, would open it till it got cold weather. But one night, something made the awfulest racket we ever heard. My daddy had slipped through that window and got him a gallon of syrup out there and started out the window with it and fell out the window with it. Then he was taking it over at the bootlegger and swap it for the pint of liquor, a half pint, whatever they give for that gallon of syrup. And he busted that syrup all over the place. Of course, we didn't say that about it, didn't laugh at him either. But he busted that syrup. And they said my brother them said he quit drinking a while before he killed. Said he hadn't drank nothing rather. Said he hadn't drank nothing. I don't know whether he quit or not, but he hadn't drank nothing a while before he killed himself, they said. So little old things like that I remember pretty well. Yeah. I remember one time we had an old 12-gauge shotgun, the one I got now, the one he killed himself with. Me and Kathleen and Elizabeth, my two sisters, was at home there. They was over in the sorghum patch stripping sorghum. I got that shotgun, got up in a chair and laid it up in the window. And my sister said, "You better not shoot that thing." Well, the time she got out of the mouth, I done shot it. I shot that thing, it knocked me clean out of that chair on the floor. Well, my daddy them heard it. He come running home, see what happened, and I told him there's no dog running around the house with a chicken in his mouth, and I shot at him. That's all he never did say no more. Because the dog was bad about getting that chicken. He didn't say nothing. He didn't know I just shoot him. My brother Theo, one time, he got the thing and drawed it on my sister. And it was loaded. Drawed it on my sister. My sister told him, "You better put that gun up." He turned around, that thing went off. He shot a hole through the top of the house up there, up over the fireplace. And when my daddy come home, he wanted to know what happened. Theo told him he shot a dog going around the house with chicken. Now, my daddy was sitting down there warming one day in front of the fire, and he called Theo and I said, "Theo, come here." He said, "Which way did that dog go you shot at the other day?" He said, "He went around the house." He said, "You sure he didn't go through that ceiling up there?" There's a big hole there, I see where the low shot went. Now, he got a hold of him then, but he didn't tell him, Kathleen didn't tell him he drawed it on her, though. It went off when he drawed on her. Killed the fire out of her. Well, it's just something like that going on all the time when you're home. Yeah. Bunch of rip rats we were, I'm telling you. Didn't have nothing. Had a good time. Lord of mercy, my sister and them were going to go swimming. And I was crying because I couldn't go swimming with them because I was a boy and didn't have no bathing suit. My daddy took a guarana sack, 6'8", and cut a hole on top of it for my head to go through and a hole on each side of it for my arm to go through. And said, "Now you got a bathing suit, go with them." I started down the step and it wasn't wide enough for me to make my step. I fell off that step and a brand new axe at the bottom. Cut my leg all the way to the bone. He got me, put me up there in the bed and wrapped that thing up and poured a cup full of salt in it. And I got a scar you can lay your finger in now. That's all they ever done to me. Put salt on it. That ended the swimming though. We didn't go swimming. I wouldn't have been pretty thing out there swimming with that gear and sack over me. Over my head, wouldn't been nothing in my back. I looked like a duck. Back in the duck shining.